These are a colony of 35 African black-footed penguins. They do come from the southern coast of Africa. Now you're looking at a warm weather penguin, not a cold weather penguin. A lot of people get that misunderstood with our penguins. We have 8 different species of penguins, and what you're looking at here is one of our warm weather penguins. Now they can control their body temperature by the heating vents by their eyes and in their feet, so they can cool themselves down or heat themselves up by pushing and or filling the blood flow from these vents behind their eyes and on their feet. That's a little heat area as you see. Now one way you can tell whether you're looking at a cold weather penguin or a warm weather penguin is by that tuxedo pattern that they have. Warm weather penguins such as these will have that nice tuxedo pattern, but it's not only that, but they'll have that nice solid black stripe going across the chest, where our cold weather penguins will either have 2 black stripes going across the chest, or they'll have a solid white chest. Now, of all 18 species of penguins, there are only less than half will see cold or ice year-round. Only 2 of them will see snow and ice all year-round. Those are going to be your empire penguin, if you've ever seen March of the Penguin, or your Adelie penguin. Now, another misconception with these animals is they're predators. A lot of people assume that polar bears are predators of penguins because of a famous Coca-Cola commercial that hosts during Christmas time. But actually, polar bears only live in the Arctic, and all 18 species of penguins live below the equator. So they should hopefully never cross paths. But because they do live in both realms, on water and inland, they do have predators in both realms as well. They do live over in Africa in human populated areas, but they do have to worry about domesticated animals such as dogs or cats. Also have to worry about larger animals on land, such as bigger birds than they are, or other larger animals. Also, in the water, they also have to worry about orcas or seals. So they do have a lot of different predators. Another thing that's cutting back on their numbers is also their food supply. We do have a lot of fishermen over there that are fishing all their food supplies, so it's becoming harder for them to hunt, and they're having to go farther out in order to find their food. Now, these animals can swim to about 30 miles per hour, and they can hold their breath to about 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes long if they needed to in order to find food. Now, some of them you'll see doing they'll kind of shake their head, which kind of looks like they're sneezing. It's actually that they're spitting the salt out through their nose in order to hydrate themselves with the water, and then they'll spit the salt back out of their nose. So that helps them stay hydrated. Now, one of my personal favorite birds is kind of swimming across the front of the field here right now. She's an attention getter. Her name is Hala. She is one of the pairs that is accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums for us to allow to breed our birds. We have 6 pairs that are allowed to do that here at the aquarium. And we have been successful yet again with our newest baby penguin, who is about a month and a half old, and he's over there in the nursery right now. We don't really know whether it's male or female. It does take about 3 months before we can figure that out. And even then, you cannot turn these animals upside down and look at them and tell whether they are male or female. Instead, we have to have them have a blood sample sent off where they do a genetic DNA testing, and they'll count the number of chromosomes, and that's going to let us know if a penguin is male or female. So you may have noticed the armbands around their wings. That's going to tell us whether they are male or female. It's also going to tell us their names, and it's also going to help during our fast feeding frenzies. We do 2 of those throughout the day. And that's going to let us know how many penguins have eaten how many fish, and which penguin hasn't eaten any at all. So this helps us keep track of their diet. Now, usually you're going to see the females wearing the red bands on their left wings, while the males will be wearing the blue bands on their right wings. So we do have a lot of them in there. Now, there are also some penguins that have different colored zip ties around their wings, and that is because they're new to our facility, and we have yet to receive their name bands, such as Hala and Coco, one of our personal favorite pairs here at the aquarium. Now, another neat fact about the penguins is that they are allowed to go outside and enjoy the weather of the Smoky Mountains. Because they are warm weather penguins, their exhibit is the same temperature we're standing in right now. So they can swim beneath the pathway underneath the floor over here to my left, and they'll go outside and enjoy the nice weather of the Smoky Mountains. So we can pretty much allow them to do this all year round, but if it does drop below 30 degrees, we have to shut the gate beneath the floor in order to make sure the penguins stay inside. Because as I said before, these are warm weather penguins and not cold weather penguins, so they can risk freezing with their feet on the rocks outside at 30 degrees. So you have to be very careful about shutting the gate and making sure they stay inside when it gets that cold. And also we do bring them inside at night, and then we'll shut the gate beneath the floor, because Smoky Mountain bears are not a common predator of penguins. We don't want them to have to be either. So we do keep them inside for that reason. Now, penguins do eat a lot of food. They're high maintenance birds. They eat very strong quality fish. They also eat about 20% of their body weight every single day. Just to put it in perspective for everyone, if a 100-pound person were to eat 20% of their body weight, that would mean that a 100-pound person would have to eat 80 quarter-pound hamburgers a day in order to maintain their diet. Now, because they do eat that much, they also go to the bathroom a whole lot, about 10 or 15, or every 10 or 15 minutes, and they can't use this as a weapon, so they can point their bottoms any way they want to and shoot it any way they want, even your face. So that's not always a joy when we go in there to scrub or pressure wash the exhibit, which we do very often. We do it about 4 or 5 times a day, and that keeps it nice and clean looking for everyone and clean for them. But because they are pretty filthy animals, they do carry a very high maintenance of bacteria, so they have to constantly clean themselves. And they also go through a process called molting, which is what you see some of our funny looking birds going through right now. A lot of them have those weird looking feathers sticking out everywhere. And that's because they're going through that process. Now that's a process in which they lose all their feathers and they'll grow a new set. Now one of our very first baby penguins just went through this process, and he just got his adult feathers for the first time. He's our first baby penguin on exhibit, and I think he's hiding over here by the door, digging at his still picking off feathers right over there. Now, his name is Derby. He was born last year on May 4th, the day of the Kentucky Derby. So when we did get the results back and found out that he was indeed male, we went ahead and named him Derby. Now the second baby penguin we do have here on exhibit is still kind of over there by the door. Now he's got his juvenile feathers still, so he's more gray in color and has a wide chest. And his name is Bush. He was named after the new Knoxville football team Tennessee coach. So he is Bush. He is standing right over there by the door on the left-hand side. And he was born back in January, so he's not very old. Now you may have noticed that he is the same size as all the other birds, and that's because they do reach full adult size in 3 months. So at 3 months, these birds are full grown. Now one other thing we would like to mention about these penguins here is that they are an endangered species. Back in 2010, their numbers were cut nearly in half. Over 40% of this animal was cut, or over 40% of this species was killed in Louisville. So we do try to do a lot of things so we can get their numbers up. We inquire, you can inquire at guest about our penguin encounters, where you can have a penguin painting made by one of our professional penguins that are able to do that. And you can also have the chance to judge or have a photographer take a professional photograph of you as a penguin. And we do give a lot of the proceeds of these encounters to an organization called St. Club. We also sell t-shirts in the gift shops, and $2 for every t-shirt sold is going to go to that organization as well. And every painting sold in the gift shop, half of the proceeds, that's 50% of every painting sold, goes to that organization as well. And they help this animal thrive in the wild and try to get their numbers back up. And because they are endangered and they do have more predators in the wild, they do tend to live longer in captivity. So we do have a lot of them. We're still able to breed our birds by that organization of Associated Zoos and Aquariums. So we are allowed to do that. Now, if you don't have any questions, I'll hang around for just a few more minutes, but that's pretty much all I have for you all today. If you have any questions, just please let me know. And if you are interested in seeing the next dive show tonight, that is going to be over at the Coral Reef exhibit where you saw a tropical fish before Shark Lagoon, where I'll be in the water to feed the tropical fish over there for you guys. So if you want to see that, that's going to be at 6 o'clock over at the Coral Reef exhibit. Thank you for joining me for the Penguin Talk. We hope you enjoy the rest of your evening here at the aquarium with the Smokies.